Steph, thanks for coming out in the cold weather here in Wellington. Tell me a bit about what Justice Act aims to do.
We aim to eradicate slavery within New Zealand, but I guess the first thing that Justice Act aims to do within that, because most people don't realise that there is slavery in New Zealand, is to make people aware of the issue.
So how did it start? What gave you the impetus in the first place?
I've spent some time working in missions overseas, so personally I felt the call to get involved in the anti-human trafficking and slavery issue. I came back to New Zealand to study in order to upskill for that, and while I was here I just became apprised of the issue here in New Zealand, and so after a period of time I just felt a responsibility. I was aware of the issue. I knew I was in New Zealand for now a number of years, and while I was here I was to do something about it, so that's really where it came from.
I think most people would be surprised to hear that there was trafficking in New Zealand.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say human trafficking, most people think of Asia, Cambodia, India, Eastern Europe, even South America maybe, or China, and they don't believe that it takes place in New Zealand. I think we as New Zealanders have felt that we are so isolated from the world, we're immune to criminal activity and organised crime, but we are not. And most people are shocked when I tell them that there is, in fact. Yeah.
So what are you hoping to achieve with Justice Acts?
We've been undertaking a legislative review looking at the human trafficking laws within New Zealand. That review, our report should be finished in about 6 weeks. From that, we are aiming to write an amendment to the Crimes Act, and we want to see some change take place within the laws, because right now the laws are very, very difficult, make it very difficult for victims to prosecute, and plus just the way that things are set up is really hard in a short conversation to tell you just how the laws are. They're really gravitated to it being an immigration issue, which means that when victims come forward, it's usually to immigration, and they would typically have wrong visa status. So a lot of, there's been about 3 cases that I know of in Auckland of girls in brothels who have called immigration, said that they have been trafficked. Immigration has done a raid. They've seen that that is true, but because of their visa status, they've been deported within a week. But I would be very happy to see much more discussion and discourse, consultation amongst the government agencies and NGOs, so that we could actually see some movement on the issue.
You're not alone in this campaign.
No, there's quite a number of NGOs across New Zealand who are working on the issue, and we just really want to be a catalyst. Justice Acts is about being a catalyst to helping to raise the awareness of the issue and to see if we can just get some movement within government and within civil society as well, and with businesses as well, just to get them thinking about humanitarian issues, not just economic issues.
Let's talk a bit about Patricia Green, because I know that you've been working with her, and she's a real support.
I know, she's like a legend where I come from. I remember, because I grew up within Assembly of God churches within the Pentecostal movement, and she was an Assemblies of God sent missionary to Thailand, and so I remember hearing stories of the work that she had done. I know girlfriends of mine at Bible College, they went and did work with her in Thailand. I've heard a lot about what she's done, and then I got to meet her maybe a couple of years ago, and so she has just been just a fabulous support. She's now based in Europe, but I see her as often as I can when she's back in town. And something that we also do, Justice Acts, we are running like a baking ministry within one of the brothels here in town, and she's just been helpful in us knowing like how to just get started with that.
Do you think the fact that you're a woman brings a different agenda to what you're trying to do?
I think initially I would say no, but I guess you could say that we do come from a female perspective, understanding, humanitarian issues, and I think sometimes females are able to kind of grasp hold of that side of the heart of God more than what men can. And so maybe perhaps in that respect, I'm able to bring some of that sense of understanding of the heart of God is for the heart of humanity, and to see people healed and restored and in a healthy place. And so maybe I do in that respect.
So as far as we're concerned as Christians here in safe New Zealand, what's our responsibility?
Well, just to open up your eyes. I guess what we would encourage Christians to do is to realise that New Zealand is not immune, that we are not immune to some of these global issues, the downsides of globalisation. We all love the upside. We love that we can get products cheaply. We love that we can travel freely. We love that we can communicate so easily nowadays. But with those positives comes also the negative spin. So as Christians, we should be praying for those who have been caught up in slavery and who are being exploited. We should pray that God shows us more of his heart, and that we should be thinking about these issues, writing to our MPs, talking to our pastors, buying fair trade products. We should be thinking about the clothes that we're buying, the products that we're buying, who does this impact, looking at organisations, maybe Justice Acts, but maybe other organisations and NGOs that are out there in your community. And just, there's also an issue with the New Zealand of underage prostitution, and they feel very alone and out there by themselves, and so they are then vulnerable, and traffickers make use of vulnerable people. And so as Christians, if we look out in our communities for those who are vulnerable, if we mentor young people, and if we just seek to be God's heart and hands in our community, then we can help to mitigate issues like this.